The following is rated not safe for work. It contains strong language, adult situations, and lots of spoilers. Discretion is advised.
In the criminal justice system, cinematic-based offenses are considered especially heinous. The dedicated attorneys who investigate these villainous films are members of an elite squad known as the Reels of Justice. These are their stories.
Order, please, order! The Reels of Justice is now in session. Just blue shell in the last lap, Ryan Luis Rodriguez presiding. We all rise for the Honorable Judge Rodriguez.
Be seated. Welcome to the Reels of Justice. Today we are hearing the case of The People vs. Super Mario Bros., a 1993 adventure comedy film about two Brooklyn plumbers who must rescue a princess from a parallel universe controlled by a tyrant bent on interdimensional domination. For those of you unfamiliar with our court proceedings, we are here to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. As always, in this courtroom, films are to be considered excellent until proven awful, and the burden of proof lies upon the prosecution to prove beyond a shadow of a reasonable doubt that this film is guilty. Mr. Maynard Bangs, you're appearing on behalf of the prosecution. You may present your opening statement.
Your Honor, esteemed members of the court, and of course my well-honored colleague here, I'm not going to stand here today and give you any ruby gooses about how films must always strictly adhere to their source material. In fact, sometimes straying from the source material can be a wise choice and result in producing a superior work than the original, i.e. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. But we must ask ourselves in this court, how far is too far to stray from one source material? What if a work has so completely departed from what it is supposedly based on that it becomes wholly unrecognizable from it? At what point do we say, okay, you're not actually interested in adapting this story, you're just interested in using the title to try and capitalize on the popularity of the franchise? Because that is certainly the case with 1993's Super Mario Bros. Not only am I convinced the writers and directors of this film had never played a Super Mario Bros. Game, I'm convinced they've never even seen one. Instead, they merely had the premise of the game vaguely explained to them by a man shouting across a soccer field. Oh, well, you know, they're plumbers. Plumbers? Yes, plumbers, and they live in a mushroom kingdom with dinosaurs and these things called Goombas, and they can jump real high, and then there's fireballs flying around every which way. Wait, go back to the part about the Goombas. What are they like? Oh, and they use a series of interconnected pipes to travel around everywhere. They travel through pipes? Why? Because they're plumbers. Oh, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Okay, gotta go. Good luck with your movie.
Was that it?
That is it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bangs. Appearing on behalf of the defense is Mr. Neruda Williams. Please present your opening statement.
First of all, I'd like to just say I love this movie. And this movie is a movie that represents a lot of my childhood, not just because it's an adaptation of one of the first, I think, video game adaptations that was ever done, but also because it's an adaptation of one of the most essential video games to at least anyone my age. We didn't need it to actually make sense. I mean, the original video game doesn't make sense. The original video game is made by a bunch of Japanese guys talking about plumbers chasing magic mushrooms and dragons. It was never based in reality. So this feature film version is enough because it exists, right? On its face. Then the second part of my defense is it stars two of the greatest actors known to man, John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins. I mean, these guys are brilliant, and I don't care what they do. I could watch Bob Hoskins, play a succulent flower, and it would be interesting. John Leguizamo can play literally everybody's family member in his family, my family, your family. He's everybody, and I think that in itself is something that we have to cherish and treasure about this work. Another thing is, when you look at films of that era, like Little Monsters or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, every single one, or even Total Recall, all these films had this underworld, right? This uh, this whole alternate under society where crime and fun and everything can happen. And I feel like Super Mario Brothers did that spectacularly, and it really represented everything that I wanted in a video game and a sci-fi film at that age. I think I rest my case.
Don't rest
Wow.
it yet.
Oh, don't
Oh,
rest it.
we can go home now? Great. That's okay. I was tired anyway. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Prosecution, you may proceed with your first exhibit.
Thank you, Your Honor. My first exhibit is what the fuck? What the fuck?
Sustained.
Were the filmmakers smoking or snorting or shooting up when they made this fucking thing? It's like they took the basic concepts of the video game series and then just warped and twisted their meanings to suit themselves however they liked. Oh, the Super Mario Bros. Can jump really high. Okay, so we'll give them special rocket boots to help them do that. Oh, they live in a bright and colorful land called the Mushroom Kingdom. Okay, well, we'll make it a bleak dystopian cityscape smattered with neon lighting. Will there be mushroom houses? Fuck no. But we're going to include a ubiquitous fungus growing everywhere. That'll count as our mushroom. And just to keep the purists happy, we'll give the brothers their trademark outfits and theme song at the end. This movie has really nothing to do with the story of Super Mario Bros. Video games, except for the names of characters and items.
Now, can I ask a question to the prosecution?
Sure.
Was there actually a story to adapt at this time?
By Super Mario Bros. What is 93? I think they're on the third one at that point.
Mm-hmm.
There's at least got to be an aesthetic, like a visual aesthetic for a setting, I'd say.
I object. I feel this answer is misleading. He is not answering the question. The question was, is there a story? Aesthetic is not a story.
There is a story, and it's about plumbers that come to this world to save a princess from a giant dragon man. There is a princess, but there's no castle, and there's really no dragon man. There's a human man. And, you know, that's one of the things about this, Your Honor, kind of going to my next point. There's this parallel universe that this takes place in. You know, and the video games do kind of establish that there are parallel universes. But, you know, so most of the action takes place in this other plane, which happens to have the incredibly unfortunate honor of being named Dino Hatton. You know, because there's Manhattan, and then there's Dino Hatton. And I imagine there's some other universe where man evolved from chinchillas, and it'd be called Chinchilla Hatton. Kill me. Anyway, in Dino Hatton, dinosaurs evolved into man, because, you know, that's how fucking evolution works. And rather than have them evolve into some cool dinosaur-looking people, or, like, you know, what we'd expect from the descendants of dinosaurs, like bird people, we're treated to a bunch of, like, people-looking people. And, you know, and apparently, I don't know if that's, like, to save budget. We had a $48 million budget, but we blew it all on crashing like a dozen cars and paying Lance Hendrickson to make a one-sentence cameo.
Money well spent.
Right. So, like, there is this parallel world that's established from the games, but rather than having, you know, lizard people or mushroom people like the game establishes, they're story elements. I mean, those are characters and, you know, that complete the world of that video game. They're not really present here, you know? Instead, they're people, rather than anything that we would have seen in the game.
Defense, would you care to respond to the scientific accuracy or accuracy to the games in this film?
Well, I do think they handled evolution pretty well. They well, I mean, they have the egg, right? The egg, and the egg does birth a baby though, so that's a little different. But I mean, there's dinosaurs in it. I put it like this, okay? It's much easier to destroy this film than it is to really make it make sense, right?
Thank you.
But I think that's the fun of it, and that's why I say that it is as accurate as it's going to be. And when you look at Super Mario Bros. The video game, the princess was a human princess. It wasn't a Goomba princess, right?
Correct.
And then there's mushrooms, and then there's the I don't know, are they alligators? I don't fully know what the Goomba.
The Goombas are supposed to be little mushroom men with a face.
Right, but what about the ones with the teeth? What is that? Isn't that like an alligator or something? Oh, that's a dinosaur.
It's a lizard of some kind.
Yeah.
So lizards of some kind. So this is what look at us. So this is what I'm saying, right? There is no full scientific accuracy to this film to defend, and there doesn't need to be.
I agree. There is not a scientific accuracy. What I'd like to see is the movie or the games, even, but especially the movie, play within the rules it established. Right. For instance, we talked about the evolution and the de-evolution. The main villain of this is he's not really King Koopa now. He's President Koopa. Played by Dennis Hopper, doing his best Donald Trump impression, which demonstrates that either the filmmakers were incredible prognosticators or that Donald Trump has just always been the same megalomaniacal shithead his entire life. But it could be both. But anyway, so Koopa has this device which can evolve and devolve things like as he chooses, which is like kind of vague and inconsistent. Like you can be evolved and become really intelligent like he does to Spike and Iggy, but apparently their appearance doesn't change. So like they'll evolve over time, but they look exactly the same, which is not what the rest of the evolution would suggest to us. You can also be devolved into a Goomba, which is a creature with a giant body and a tiny dinosaur or lizard face, but which makes me really curious where that fits into the evolutionary line between Dino and man. But when, like, say the King character gets devolved, he's devolved into a fungus. So in this world, man also evolved from fungus. And then if that's the case, like, why does Daisy, as we mentioned, hatch from an egg? If she's the king's daughter, shouldn't she also be a fungus? Why is a fungus coming from an egg?
Defense, is there an interior logic to this film?
I'm not a botanist, man. I can't why fungi become dinosaurs and some dinosaurs become princesses and some dinosaurs become plumbers. I am not here to discuss the merits of that. I am here to discuss the merits of why this is a good film. Why this is a good film. No one asked the questions of why Bruce Willis and Brad Pitt are hanging out in 48 Monkeys or whatever, and the goddamn movie.
That's the fourth one.
12 monkeys. It's 48 monkeys.
48
12
monkeys.
It's 12 monkeys. The
next 48 monkeys.
They're going back in time. And at a certain point, it's like, well, this doesn't make any fucking sense. They've seen each other. This is all one fucking thing. But similarly with Super Mario Brothers, it doesn't make any sense, but it's entertaining. And I think that's what we go to the movies for. We don't go to the movies. Well, some of us go to the movies to be educated, but I think we go to the movies to have a good time and see Dennis Hopper with fucking cornrows. Like, that's fucking fun.
I wish they were cornrows, but instead they're kind of weird spiky things. And I mean, we're talking about what makes a good movie, and it's like, yeah, you want to be entertained, but sometimes plot holes will take me out of the story. Like, when Koopa's defeated in the end, the king, who was a fungus, is magically restored to human form, but none of the Goombas get restored. Like, what's up with that? They're all fucking stuck as Goombas forever. And speaking about the plot, if there kind of is one, Koopa's plan doesn't make any goddamn sense. Like, Koopa needs to kidnap Daisy from our world, right? Because she is secretly a princess who has a small fragment of a meteorite which would let Koopa merge the two worlds, the Dino world and the man world. However, we also see there's a portal that allows people to travel in between the worlds kind of freely, all that they like. That's why Iggy and Spike are able to travel in to kidnap the princess. It was sealed for a while. It becomes unsealed during excavation. So if it's unsealed now, why can't Koopa just send an army of his Goombas through the portal and take over the human world? Like, he doesn't need to merge the worlds. He can just send some Goombas through to take it over and make it his own.
Defense, would you care to rebut any of this?
I can't really remember. I mean, there are some huge plot holes. There are some hard plot holes. That's a good one.
Leave all of this in. This all has to stay.
Okay, so one thing I could see is this, right? Like, instead of using the tunnel, maybe the tunnel is just too easy, right? Maybe the tunnel is just too a solution.
Cooper wants
right?
a challenge.
Cooper wants a challenge. I mean, again, look at the blonde cornrows that look like ribbed spiked things. Like he doesn't fully know what he's going for, and he is he's he's going to make the biggest choice possible, right? And I commend him for it, and I say, all it does is it encourages me to go big or go home. Why take the easy route? Nothing worthwhile is easy, He didn't land on Dinah Hatton. Dinah Hatton landed on him. So he's trying. So he's just trying to really make a name for himself. And does it make sense? No, but
I'd like the jury to recognize that.
I'd like the jury to recognize how I said it. No, like I think that it's the connotation that it's like, who cares? Who cares if it makes sense?
Hashtag Koopa wants a challenge.
Hashtag Koopa wants a challenge. I think my defense is basically it doesn't have to make sense. I think that's really where I'm going with this. But go ahead, let's go.
Your Honor, for my last exhibit, I'd like to call a witness. So, prosecution calls Mr. Mario to the stand. Hey, it's me, Mario!
God, we're going to get canceled again. Bailiff, will you swear the witness in?
Please place your hand on this copy of Nintendo Power magazine from August 1988. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you Shigeru Miyamoto?
Woohoo! I do!
Oh, God.
Thank you, Bailiff. Mr. Mario, have you seen the 1993 live-action depiction of the Super Mario Brothers? Yes, indeed, I have! And in your own words, would you please describe it to the court?
Oh,
Please, Mr. Mario, we talked about showing some decorum. Well, I'm sorry, but every time I think about the film, I just get so angry. I mean, have you seen that stinking pile of shit? Okay, please, if you could, name some of the specific things you found wrong with the film. Oh, I don't know. How about everything? How about they turned my beautiful mushroom kingdom into some stupid cyberpunk Blade Runner bullcrap? How about they turned a King Koopa into some corny old Donald Trump wannabe a politician? How about the fact that they tried to establish a parallel universe where dinosaurs evolved into men? That's not how evolution works, you pizzones. I'm just a plumber, and even I know that. And what did you think of your representation in the film? My representation? You mean the fat, balding British guy they got to dress up as me? What an insult! What, they couldn't find any authentic Italian actors? And then there's my brother Luigi, my sweet brother Luigi. They cast some no-name actor from Colombia with a no mustache. Can you believe it? Luigi Mario with a no mustache. And how come there's like a 20-year age difference between the two brothers? Like, what the hell, Hollywood Pictures? If you have something to say about a Mario, you come and say it to my face. And the worst part of it all, they make us from Brooklyn. Brooklyn. Can you believe it? Me, Mario, an Italian-American from Brooklyn. Wait, so you're not Italian-American? No, I'm an Italian from Italy. I always thought you lived in the Mushroom Kingdom. I do. I have a dual citizenship. Oh, nice. Yes, it is very nice. So, Mr. Mario, what is it that made you agree to allow your likeness to be used in this film? Well, they drove a dump truck full of money up to my house. What was I supposed to do? I'm just a frickin' plumber. I thought plumbers made good money. No, that is a filthy lie made up by those trade schools. If Mario could go back in time, I've learned to code. Okay, good to know. And one last thing. What is up with those Goombas in the movie? Goombas are supposed to be tiny. I'm supposed to be able to jump on them. These freaking Goombas are 10 feet tall with little tiny lizard heads. Have these stupid filmmakers never seen a Goomba? Have they even played any of my games? No, I guess not. They're not very hard to find, you know? I know. I'm glad that stupid movie bombed at the box office, and now we don't have to suffer through a sequel. All right, thank you, Mr. Mario. No more questions, Your Honor. Defense, your witness?
Yeah. Personally,
Come on, Mario ain't made a time here.
I want to talk to Luigi because I think Luigi would have a different response.
I guarantee you Luigi would sound exactly the same.
Luigi does sound exactly the same.
In that he only sounds like Mario when he says, "It's a me, Mario."
It's me, Mario. You try to do this voice for like you try to do this voice for like 20 minutes.
You try to do Mario's doing a voice of
Mario's doing a voice. So let me ask you this. Why did you sign off your rights to your image for this film? Where you knew Bob Hoskins was signed on to the project, and you knew a Puerto Rican Colombian was doing Luigi, your little brother. So you gave up your rights. You said let's still do the film, and now to me it sounds like a bit of buyer's remorse here. So I'm just asking, what made you sign on for these two that you didn't even want to portray you?
They tied me up in contracts before I even got to any cast list. You think I got approval of the cast list? I'm just a frickin' plum.
You sound a little Irish now. I don't know what Mario.
It is a hard voice to sustain for any length of time.
But it's your voice, isn't it? Like,
yes.
Be able to say it all the time.
I want the jury to take into consideration that this might not even be Mario, and we don't.
How dare you?
We haven't done enough background. We haven't done enough discovery on who this Mario character is. So I say strike and dismiss, but we'll look at it.
Well, apparently I would honor that, but I apparently don't have any power here.
All right. I mean, you know, Ronner, I think we should just thank Mr. Mario for his time and his insight into this case, and of course for the years of entertainment and heartbreak he brought to us all.
A lot of insight there.
Thank you. The pleasure, she is all mine. And I want to remember and remind everybody to check out my one-man show, Alan Turing Alive, this Saturday at the Winter Garden Theater. Mario out. Woohoo! Woohoo!
Come back when you get a real accent.
Ben's Scottish accent is much more consistent than that Mario.
Your Honor,
What
I'm
are you
just going
talking
to
about? I don't have
I'm
a
going to rest
Scottish
my
accent.
case, and
It's a completely separate person.
I'm going to recess and get a bottle of water.
Since the prosecution is rested, when we start back up, defense, you can start presenting your arguments.
Oh, okay.
We're starting back up right now. Here you go.
Okay.
That was
Defense,
fast.
All right, great.
the prosecution is rested. Please present your arguments.
So we don't have any witnesses. Probably not that many people have even seen this film, but we don't have too many witnesses, and I don't really have that many exhibits to present. I think most of my work was done in opening statements. I would say evidence of this being a good film is that we're talking about it right now. You know, I'd say that's Exhibit A, is that it's still, you know, somehow on our minds. I'd say another exhibit is like, you know, like the prosecution was saying, it's depiction of almost like a premonition of what the future leadership of this country would look like, and that is King Koopa, aka Donald Trump. And so the movie was not only before its time, but it was prophetic in its time.
More like pathetic.
All right. Objection. I'm trying to present my evidence, and I'm getting
Sustained.
harassed. Thank you.
Hey, Mario came back.
Oh,
Mario's
God, he's
back.
back. Get him out of the studio. Get him out of here.
So I would say those would be my two main pieces of evidence to present. Yeah. Yeah. Defense. Well, can I rest now, or do I still
You
have
can.
to?
Of course.
Okay, I will rest on that. Defense rest.
Both sides have rested their cases. The attorneys will now present their closing arguments. Mr. Bangs, you may begin.
Your Honor, esteemed members of this court, it seems apparently that our decent Super Mario Bros. Movie is in another castle. This dark, twisted bastardization of a beloved, timeless property failed not only critically, but commercially. It basically killed off any opportunities to adapt future Nintendo properties into live-action films for the next 26 years when we finally got Detective Pikachu. Who knows what this cost us? We could have had Zelda the movie, or Godzilla versus Donkey Kong. Christ, who knows how awesome Duck Hunt Quacking Skulls could have been? We'll never know. And we can never forgive Super Mario Bros. For doing this to us. Let's take away this movie's last life and make sure it can't continue with a very well-deserved guilty verdict. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Williams, please present your closing argument.
Yeah. This has been a tough case, right? Like, the prosecution has, they've presented some solid arguments. I still find it to be
Shut up, Mario.
He's got to get, but I find it to be still a cherished film, and Bob Hoskins with a mustache is incredible. Everything about the film is a little quirky, and it's just lighthearted enough, and just kind of cool enough. And I don't think that it takes itself seriously, and I don't think that we should take it too seriously either. You have to come at Super Mario Brothers with that same type of child's gaze, right? Where it's like, yeah, I mean, there's potholes. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of physics and science that doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of no reason for a lot of things. Like, why are they going down a slip and slide of ice? I mean, there's a lot. But at the same token, it is, I think it's still invigorating in a certain way, right? And then you bring up that Sonic the Hedgehog, and like that shit was horrible. And then I love Jim Carrey, but it just felt so wrong. But then I also had to realize just now, I saw Sonic the Hedgehog as an adult after playing Sonic as a kid on the Sega Genesis. Now I'm an adult and I watched that and I was like, this is trash. But I'm sure some kid is watching it like, oh, it's got all the elements. You know what I mean? And they're like, Jim Carrey's being Jim Carrey. And you know what I mean? Like, so I think we have to sometimes step away from some art and look at it from the context of when it was made, how it was made, where it was made, for who it was made. And not always look at it. Because, a lot of comedy doesn't age well. You know what I mean? A lot of shit doesn't age well. At least this doesn't have too many overtones of like rape or racism. Actually, it's talking about the prison industrial complex, it's talking about the military industrial complex, it's talking about police and local government and government oversight and brutality. I don't know. I think we gotta remove some of our adulthood when we watch certain things, and yeah, that's all I want to say. With that, I think that's all I got. Really, it's hard for me.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. It's a hard film to defend. It's kind of trash, but I love it.
Thank you both. Members of the jury, Mr. Big Ben Haslar, Mr. Dylan J. Schlender, and Mr. That's Mama Luigi to you, Ryan Luis Rodriguez. I don't even know what the fuck that means. You have all heard the facts concerning this case. It is now up to you to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. The bailiff will escort you to the deliberation room to render your verdict.
I ate a mushroom once, but instead of growing twice my size, I puked my guts out and waked out behind a Kmart.
That's a terrible accent you got there.
Now we just saw into the bailiff's life in a way that I'm not really sure we have before.
All right, everyone. As the foreman,
That is a silly voice to write.
I guess I could do the foreman instead of the voice. Like, hi, everybody. Okay, so
Not silly enough.
I've got nothing in the tank. All right, so what if Sylvester Stallone was the foreman? Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, if you want to keep that up, I can go with it. That's fine.
All right. So no, I'm not doing that. Okay, so interesting case that we heard today. We had a lot of vindictiveness from the prosecution, a lot of passion from the defense. Big Ben, I would like to hear your thoughts, please.
Okay, I had not seen this movie until recently, and I almost forgot literally everything about it. Like 2 days after I watched it, it is just so out there, and it's so jiltily cut that not everything like flows into this like smooth narrative that just sinks into your brain. So like I don't know what to make of it. It's clearly not an adaptation of Mario that I know, but I don't know how you would adapt those NES games into a film, especially in that era. But that's not a point in its defense. Just because you didn't have an answer for that doesn't mean you could do whatever the hell you want.
I don't know. I think it might mean that you can do it exactly whatever the hell you want. There were some bizarre decisions. Something that the defense said early that I really liked was how not only was it doing its own thing, but it still actually captured some of that early 90s aesthetic with those weird underground worlds that we saw in other movies. And that was not a connection that I had made or seen articulated before, and it resonated. I thought it was a good point. Ryan, where are you? What are you thinking here? What do you think about the case we heard?
Well, it was a strange one. I think we can all agree on that. From the
strange case for a strange movie.
From the surprise appearance by somebody who calls themselves Mario but sounds nothing like them. Yeah, it's a weird one. But while I think that there's a lot of this movie that really doesn't work, I think that a lot of the production design elements I think are actually kind of clever, like the bombs. The Goombas are fucking adorable. I mean, come on, those things are so cute. And Yoshi is fantastic.
Yoshi was cute.
No, there was like this. This movie was expensive, and you can definitely tell. Like those some very good effects, and Dino Hatton is pretty cool. Like it does have a lot going for it as far as what you're actually just seeing on the screen.
And they're trying something. They're not just sitting there and going, okay, well, whatever, let's just put this in there because it's in there. They're actually trying to make this into a narrative, and I guess it's on them that they couldn't do it. But really, like Ben also said, like what other choice did they have in this matter?
You know what it kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of Popeye. They built that huge world for that huge city, and they didn't have any money left over for the octopus or something, and everyone thinks Popeye's bad, but every time I went into Popeye, awesome. Well, yeah, that's the thing. I went into Popeye always hearing about how bad it was, but I was just blown away at the set design. I wouldn't say Mario Brothers like blew me away with the set design, but when you think about contemporary movies from '93 and you see what's on the screen there from like a lot of it holds up today.
If you want to see the unforgivable version of this, it's Sonic the Hedgehog, where it's just the laziest possible thing.
Oh, really?
It has no connection to the game whatsoever, but in a way that feels very triggering. But this, I get the sense that they're actually trying to make a movie, whereas Sonic the Hedgehog was trying to fulfill like a contractual obligation. This is people who are brought together to make this movie, probably under duress, probably because they think that it could be like a stepping stone, but not kind of going out to make art, but actually trying to make real decisions.
Right.
I didn't hate Sonic the Hedgehog. I guess I'm in the minority there. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it.
In 30 years, it will be on Reels of Justice with our grandkids. They'll be talking about it. I thought it was pretty good.
It had really excellent reviews, Ben, especially compared to this.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the contemporary reviews for Mario, no one knew what this was. I think that's the thing, and the distance you get between movies, we've been able to kind of refine how we view it, right? We're not watching this in the theater. It's not an opening weekend. We're not lined up around the block. This is something that you could throw on a streaming service. It's niche. So, you don't have to watch it, right? That's the whole thing. But it's out there for the people who do.
You don't have to do anything.
Yeah, that's true. You don't got to do anything. Yeah, I don't have to be in this jury.
I don't have to go and see David, the sculpture of David, but, that doesn't change the question of if it's art or not.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I'm just saying, I think you do reappraise the way you look at things like this, and I think this is one of those movies that maybe wasn't given a fair shake, or maybe it was given a fair shake, and we just shake things different now.
Okay, well, if I'm watching it in the '90s and I'm watching it as a kid, I don't like that argument because I do think like kids don't have a lot of, discerning ability. They'll if it's on TV and it's sort of aimed towards them and there's a lot of colors and a lot of movement, it's pretty good. So there's not a high bar to clear there. If I'm watching it as an adult, unironically in the '90s, I don't think I'd like it just for the same reason I don't think I'd like the Ninja Turtles. I'm just watching it because my kids are into it.
I mean, that's definitely fair. I did see this movie basically when it came out when I was a kid. It was something that we would rent every once in a while, So it was in the rotation for me as a kid. So I did like it as a child. But yeah, it's a little hard to watch as an adult. And honestly, like watching it, like I don't know if I'd even let Mike.
Well, if you're watching it today, you're just watching it as like an intellectual curiosity more than anything.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those interesting artifacts from the '90s.
Now it's one of the it's basically they fucking did that movie? Really?
Yeah,
they haven't made another Mario since. They haven't tried. Here's why.
Well, there is one coming. So
is there really? Oh wow!
Yep, from the guys who did Despicable Me, they're doing the Mario movie.
Is it going to be like a CGI sort of? Okay, well that's better because I think that like fits the tone that you're aiming for a little bit better than the sort of '90s blockbuster.
I don't know. I appreciate the fact that they took a swing. I don't know if they made.
They did. No, I do. I am with you on that.
The fences.
Yeah, I did like that sort of Blade Runner-esque world. Like, there's nothing like this that I can really compare it to, where like the de-evolution machine creating Goombas. I have not seen that anywhere else in my whole life as a movie watcher. So I do appreciate it on that front. I don't know that makes it good. It does make it interesting.
I tell you, the de-evolution stuff scared me when I was a kid. I was horrified that I could get turned into a Goomba or a monkey, as the case may be.
That scares me now. I'm scared thinking about it right now.
Yeah, no,
I want to be turned into a monkey. I like my body.
Monkey.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean,
the plot doesn't make sense, as the prosecution pointed out.
Zero
sense.
Like, the plot holes were so big you could have fit a whole Goomba army through it for free without having to worry about merging the universes, for crying out loud.
And like the way it's cut, like I remember Mario was like running out of a room and like Daisy was like shouting instructions to him, like from I guess the room they were just in, because they didn't know how to edit it together in a way that made sense.
Now see, that actually improves in the director's cut.
How so?
It feels a lot less choppy because this thing
the whole thing
like cut to shit.
I remember like you look down at your phone while watching this thing and all of a sudden you like glance up and you're like, wait, when did Mario get here? Why is he helping Luigi? I thought Mario was back at his office. What happened?
Yeah, no, there was some structural problems for sure. So I think we should start maybe looking at locking in some verdicts. What are you thinking, Ben?
Yeah, I'm sorry. With all due respect to the defense, this is a guilty film. It is weird. It makes no sense. I'm a plot guy. This has no plot. It's an interesting film to watch, but so are a lot of films that we have found guilty in the past. And just because it's bad doesn't mean it's not worth watching. But it is bad. Guilty.
All right, Mama Luigi.
Oh,
Ryan Luis Rodriguez. What are you thinking?
Goomba's not guilty.
The Goomba's not guilty. And it comes down to me. I'm gonna go. Man, I do like a lot of it. Thinking about it, I'm gonna say not guilty. But just because it's not bad, but it's not great. But I will be watching this again.
Yeah.
All right, let's go.
That's the bar. If Dylan will watch it again.
I mean, it's a pretty fair. We've done a lot of movies on here that I have absolutely no intention of watching again. That's for sure. All right, let's go out there and tell that very handsome judge.
Mr. Foreman, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor. In the case of the People versus Super Mario Bros., we find the defendant not guilty.
The verdict is still rendered.
That's bullshit.
Okay. Right, sure. The verdict is still rendered. Even in my infinite wisdom, simply even I didn't even believe that Super Mario Brothers could be found innocent, so boy is there egg on my face. Court is adjourned.
This is Nuke Pukum reporting to you live outside the Reels of Justice. Maynard Bangs, would you care to share your thought on the jury's verdict?
It's a dark day for the Reels of Justice. It proves the system does not work, which I guess we already knew about the system. Once again, a guilty party has been let free off into the world to hurt more people. And I just gotta say, I'm gonna lose sleep at night for the fact that I couldn't stop them. A dark day.
I feel you, man. I feel you. And here comes Neruda Williams. Excuse me, could we get a word on how you feel about today's verdict?
I feel amazing. I feel like justice has been done. I feel like, sometimes what is perceived to be wrong is actually right, and what we think we know, we do not. And right now, this is a perfect example of some type of stereotyping of what is and isn't good and what is and isn't bad. And what we find is that at the end of the day, it's about merit, it's about character, and this film has characters.
How can you accuse us of doing any stereotyping on the show?
Get out of here, you. Thank you very much. This is Nuke Pukum signing off. Let's go to the studio for a post-trial analysis.
Woohoo!
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, very well done. Very well done.
Oh, thanks, man. I mean, that was fun, man. I mean, I wasn't prepared as much as you guys, because you guys have like a whole screenplay going. I was like,
oh yeah, meticulously crafted.
I was like, yo, I feel like I'm improvising with a sketch going, but it was great. I think I held my own, and I'm glad that I could convince you guys that it's a film that's not bad. It's a bad film that's good. It's a good bad film. I don't even know how you put it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the case. I think it's an entertaining bad movie, and like if I want to put on a bad movie and be entertained, this is one that I would put on. Of course, that still makes it a bad movie, but well, the system doesn't work. But no, it was still a fun trial, and I think if we can get Howard the Duck off, I can live with this going off as well.
Now I still don't know how we did that.
Hey, Howard the Duck's still better than this. So,
Neruda,
Neruda,
no, strong disagree. This is much better than Howard the Duck.
No, I agree.
Listen, I want to know what's been keeping Neruda busy. Neruda, what's been keeping
so
you
do
busy?
Okay, so
He accidentally watched Howard the Duck.
I actually had Rob. He worked on something with me that I still haven't fully completed, but I intend to, which is like it's like a little mini thing where it's basically probably gonna be like a TikTok thing where like I do old '90s sitcoms intros, and it's just about being in COVID, and most of the jokes are just put on a mask, and that's what's probably gonna be called. It's Mr. COVID, put on a mask, and you can probably find that eventually on like YouTube and just random places. I also am running a monthly or weekly Clubhouse, Facebook Live, and Twitch Live. I'm like an old man, like trying to figure out how all this shit works. But like
on those interwebs, you know what I'm talking about.
You know what I'm talking about, right, guys? Where I play vinyl records, like my comedy vinyl records. I have like a collection of maybe about 100, and I constantly buy more when I can. Right now I'm in a refill spot, but playing those whenever I can, every Sunday night at 9 on Clubhouse, Facebook Live, Twitch, and YouTube Live. That's the other one. On the YouTubes. And then, when I feel comfortable enough doing a little stand-up, I don't have anything that I can really say that I'm doing anytime soon, so I'll leave that to your curious fingers.
Oh, good. No. Now, as far as the comedy albums, like, do you have any of the old Python ones where, like the Monty Python albums, where like the album was kind of double? Like there was the album was like double sided on one side. Like depending on where you put the needle, you would hear different tracks.
Yeah, it
Even on a
actually
single
has 3
side.
sides.
Yeah, it is.
The only
3
time
sides.
that's ever been done.
I don't know if I have that. I do have a Python record. I don't know which one it is. I gotta find it. But yeah, I do have my Python record. And I have some other British stuff too. And I have some classic, like a lot of classic. Most of my vinyl is from. Well, they stopped kind of printing comedy vinyl around what, like 92, 93? Like
Yeah,
you
I'm
can
surprised
get
it
your
went that
album.
long.
Yeah, I mean, right? Like, I think you can if you got a record deal with like a big time major music company like Sony or something, you could get a vinyl pressing. But they were just pressing CDs, and now they pretty much just do digital. So, but yeah, most of my vinyl is from like it's gotta be what, the 40s through, let's say, like early to mid 80s. So it's like Carlin, Henny Youngman, Moms Mabley, Pryor, Gregory,
Red Fox?
Red Fox, Cheech Chong. I
Lemons and
got
Cheech Chong.
I got Woody. I got a couple Woody Allen albums. One double or quadruple album, which is really big, of his stand up. I got a Howie Mandel.
Do you still have the Cosby stuff, or have you gotten rid of it?
No, I still got the Cosby stuff.
Okay.
And I will play it too. You know what? And this is what I was talking about too. It's like part of that project is just like, first of all, I don't really get to listen to vinyl that often, right? Like, I'm not an old man. I'm not some old timey dude, but I am getting old. But I don't get to just sit down with a cigar and by a fireplace and play the old records. So this gives me a reason to do it, and I want to play guys that are so-called canceled, because you really can't cancel it, right? And Cosby is hilarious, man. I know what he did was wrong, and he is a monster. But at the same token, those albums are, they're the building blocks to what we see as stand-up today. So it's yeah.
And not a cent of those albums that you spent is going to him anyway. So
Anyway, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
So there's that.
separating the art from the artist, I'm good with that, especially with someone like Cosby's, because as he inspired so many people to also create great art as well. And now, I know right now there's really no stand-up going on; everything's really shut down. But are there plans for you to revive? Was the Harlem Comedy Festival again?
The stand-up is happening, but I don't want to say it's not happening. But yeah, I still feel like it's a little bit too soon for everyone to be jumping into trying to pretend like things are still the same, right? Like, I understand that there's a vaccine out. I'm vaccinated. I understand that people have been wearing masks and social distancing and quarantining. I understand all of that, and I understand that the infection rate has lowered. I understand all of that, but I still feel like if we go back to how cramped and on top of each other we were a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we run the risk of doing more damage than and taking back all of the progress that we've made. So for me, it's like running a festival means that people have to be near each other for the most part. And so I don't know if I'm ready to bring that back just yet. I think what we're going to do is we're going to try to transition into like an app type of system where people can post their clips that they would have been sending in as submission videos. And for a couple bucks, like $1 or $2, they can post their video, have a little profile, and then we can have industry see their work and be able to engage with them and hire them for whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and there maybe be a QR code for regular people to be able to visit and like view people's stuff, and help you gain some type of following and or some type of push. So that might be like a way that we kind of pivot with the Harlem Comedy Festival temporarily, because obviously eventually I want to get back to everyone getting drunk with each other, meeting people, doing shows, spitting, hugging, kissing, fucking, doing drugs, and the whole fucking thing. For now, we gotta
exactly. No, definitely, it would be great when we all can get back together and party a little bit. Just like you were saying with the fugging and the fisting and everything you said. Now we always ask our guests for a recommendation of a movie you think our listeners should check out. What is a movie you think people should see?
Okay, so one film, I would say right now I'm in a very Black history space. So one film that I'd say I would say that everyone should be checking out is Rosewood. I don't know if anybody's seen it, but it stars
John
Ving Rhames.
Singleton one?
It's John. It might be a John Singleton film.
Is it 97? Because if it is, then that's... I think Demi is Beloved. So yeah, I think he did Rosewood.
Okay, yeah. And John Voight is in it. Yes.
Yes. Good movie.
And that's based on a real thing that really happened. And it's one of the final massacres like that. But those massacres have been happening yearly since emancipation, and it's a very important film because of that. It's one of the few films that depicts what those were like. You know, people think it's just random black dude ran into a bunch of drunk white boys and shit happened, but no, it was a lot of situations like that mostly that were running rampant all throughout North and South America, North America, post emancipation, after slavery. So,
and that's in Rosewood, Florida, and that's New Year's Day, 1923.
Right.
Not that
it's
long
one
ago.
of the few things that survivors and descendants of that actually do get a form of reparations from the government, because one of the few things that the government actually recognizes as an atrocity on Americans by Americans.
Damn. Okay. No, that seems like a very important movie for people to check out. Ben, you get to go next.
Yeah, Ben,
you,
go ahead.
Because you don't
Follow
have
that
one.
up.
No, I have one, but I can't follow that, so you have to go.
All right. Well, going on the theme of video game adaptations, and Lord knows there weren't many decent ones to choose from, I'm going with 2018's Tomb Raider starring Alicia Vikander. I'm a self-admitted absolute sucker for archaeology adventure films. Even when they feature crystal skulls, they're still pretty fun, and this one isn't any exception. Alicia Vikander really transformed herself into the role, and her action sequences feel very kinetic. The film as a whole isn't what the Angelina Jolie films were trying to do. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, give it a stream, even though I fully expect to remain on the minority on this one.
I like that.
Very possible, true. The cover looks good, though. I'll give it that. But okay, Ben, since you want to put me on the hot seat, I'll go next. And going off our discussion of Nintendo properties turned into films, my favorite still has to be Pokemon, the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back from 1998. First off, I love the cocksure attitude they have to name it the first movie. I mean, imagine the set of Pokeballs on the producers to just assume they'd make more. We just don't see enough bravado like that these days. It's basically an extended episode of the TV series, which I grew up on and frankly still adore, even if it does bring me dangerously close to Big Ben's level of weebishness. I apologize for nothing.
It's an anime.
Of course, this movie will always be remembered for the now infamous Christ-like Mewtwo quote, "I see now that the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are." But still, this movie is pure nostalgic heroin, straight to the veins, and I always love it for including my dude Don Fan in the introductory battle, because Don Fan is sweet as hell. It's currently streaming on Hoopla, whatever the fuck that is, but there is also a shot-for-shot CGI remake currently available on Netflix called Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution. However, for pure maximum nostalgia, I have to recommend you choose to watch the original.
Oh, boo.
Man,
Boo.
Fuck y'all.
all that for that one joke.
Fuck y'all. Ryan, you can go.
I actually don't have a recommendation this week, so instead, I will direct people to Internet Archive, where you should look for Super Mario Brothers: The Morton Jankel Cut, which uses the original work print of the film intercut with scenes from the finished film in higher resolution. It's kind of an effort to salvage the director's original vision, but it doesn't end up making much of a difference except for adding about 15 minutes to the runtime. But as an act of cultural anthropology, it's pretty fascinating. So again, that's Internet Archive, Super Mario Brothers, the movie we just talked about, the Morton Jankel Cut.
And yeah, they called the Morton Jankel Cut, who they were the married couple that directed the movie, but they had no
Morton
input.
And Annabelle Jankel.
Yeah, they had no input to this cut.
No, they
it
did
said
not.
it's mostly fan produced. And yeah, I watched it, and I gotta say, the only thing I do like, they cut Iggy and Spike's rap song.
Yeah, I was
from
surprised
the final.
that they cut that.
But I actually thought it made the most narrative sense, because otherwise you never have that turning point for Iggy and Spike to turn on Koopa. That's their realization and revelation. that they should be emancipated and turn on Koopa. And yeah, it's, if you listen to the cut, the song's not produced. I'm sure there would be music and there would be touch-ups and it might sound more decent, because obviously it's just like raw in the studio, them just going
straight off the work print.
Right, exactly.
No polish whatsoever.
But I actually would like to see it included in the final realistic cut of the film, because without it, I think Iggy and Spike's turn really has no source or origin exactly.
When I was a kid, I just always assumed, they're smart now and they realize Koopa's the bad guy.
Well, yes. But also Mario and Luigi do tell them when they meet in the desert, like, hey, you're being played. But that's, the song is them putting it together for themselves.
No, you're right. The song actually does kind of stitch it together.
Yeah.
As far as those kind of rap songs go,
Right.
Yes. It's an early 90s. I
get why
you might as well start with "My name is Iggy and I'm here to say, Koopa ain't no way."
Neruda, what were you saying?
No, I was just saying, no, I agree. I was like, you might as well have been on some, Jam Master Jay shit, because it's I get why they cut it, because it feels, even though I love your understanding of it, but it does feel too on the nose, too hacky a little bit, right? No matter what it's explaining.
As opposed to the rest of the subtlety the movie has.
Right. No,
true,
right.
True.
I mean, we've already decided it. We've already made the judgment, sir. Okay?
It's not guilty.
Stop it.
It's not guilty. It's not a bad movie. Thanks to you, Dylan. Thanks to your fucking ass.
I like the lack of subtlety. Oh, that's funny.
You'll never live this down.
But let me just say, on top of everyone definitely seeing Rosewood, but since Ryan didn't pick one, what's so great, since we're doing video game movies, Mortal Kombat, the new Mortal Kombat I thought was pretty fucking dope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's got a divided audience, because I know a lot of people were mad because you don't actually get to see a tournament.
Oh, yeah.
And the main character's a bitch. And Goro ends up being kind of a bitch, too. But I love everything Scorpion and Sub-Zero in it. They were great.
Yeah, when it opened, I was like, oh, this is really cool. It did go downhill for me, though.
Yeah, the guy who plays Sub-Zero is used much better in the TV show Warrior.
Yeah,
you're right.
But
the Scorpion Sub-Zero
like
stuff, even at the end, it was pretty cool.
But I did like it. I don't think, and that's one of those cases where I would not have gone to see that in the theaters. But the fact that I could just stream it at home, was that on HBO Max? I think.
Yeah.
That made me see the movie.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have otherwise. So, a good thing for home streaming.
All right, I've actually have the recommendation that brings it all together. Even Rosewood. Wait for this. You're going to love it. It's true. Because what if I told you that my recommendation this whole time is the first
Matrix.
feature film to star an African-American comic book superhero? That's right. I'm talking about Spawn, 1997. If you like John Leguizamo movies that are bloated with special effects like Super Mario Bros., look no further than Spawn. Todd McFarlane's titular character went a long way to defining the superhero genre as it's understood today for better, but ultimately for so much worse.
Yes. But that's a goodie, man.
He eats pizza with maggots on it, people.
Yeah.
Maggots.
I know.
And he really did it, too. That's
now,
the thing.
I know we have some discerning listeners out there saying, was it Meteor Man the first black superhero?
But it's not he is, but it's not comic book.
Comic book.
Not
that's
a comic
right.
book. 1993 is Meteor Man. Yep.
So that's the key. And now, since Ryan didn't recommend something, I'm also going to recommend Meteor Man from 1993 because that movie's dope. I absolutely love it.
And you know what? Since Ryan didn't recommend anything, I'm going to recommend Spawn the animated series.
Yeah,
because Spawn the animated series is probably what the Spawn movie should have been. And if they had just had John Leguizamo in the animated series, that'd be dope as shit.
Oh, that would be great.
Spawn the animated series is like Batman the animated series if they never had to worry about children watching it.
Right.
No, that's a great way of describing it. Actually, it's very good. It's very adult.
David too. So good.
Bad they took it off.
So, and with that, we are all out of show. But I want to thank our guest Neruda Williams for joining us. Thank you so much, and we'd love to have you back.
Thank you. I will. I would love to.
And we hope everyone else will join us again soon as well, as the reels of justice keep turning.
Meteor Man!
Woohoo! Woohoo!
Please follow us on Twitter at Reels of Justice, Instagram Reels of Justice, and Facebook.com/Reels of Justice.